Well,
So,
we are delighted to be participating in this very valuable forum. As someone who grew up in the Midwest where soybeans are a rather important commodity, it's exciting to be involved in the development of that sector of agriculture in Tanzania. So, our story began in the early 2000s, seeing that there were no animal feed mills in Morogoro, Tanzania. Dr. Faustin Lakula, a renowned professor and head of the Animal Science Nutrition Department at the Sokoine Agricultural University, which was the largest agricultural university in the country, started developing rations and mixing feed for his friends and neighbors. At the time, all livestock producers were depending on food feed produced in Dar es Salaam, which was 4 hours away. So the supply was erratic, and it sometimes resulted in disruption of their production, especially for the poultry keepers. Whenever there were quality issues with the feed, the poultry keepers and the producers of the feed did not have a chance to meet to resolve their problems. So it was on this basis that the idea of establishing a local feed mill, which could utilize crops produced locally in Morogoro and supply the animal feed industry within the region, arose. So Professor Lakula started his feed mill, established in downtown Morogoro in a small facility, with the customer in mind, right from the start, catering for the individual requirements of the livestock producers and providing knowledge to the livestock keepers as to how to care for their animals, and promoting the livestock industry as a whole within Morogoro. So this business grew from a simple feed mixing service for the farmers into a full production line of commercial compounded feeds, and especially emphasizing poultry feed. And the company was known as International Tan Feeds Limited. It was formed formally in 2008 by Dr. Lakula and his family. The major evolution involved shortly thereafter with the purchase of land on the outskirts of Morogoro and constructing a fully modern feed mill and grain storage facility. So complete or finished feed production was moved to the new plant, while the feed mixing service remained in the old, smaller plant, where it still functions today. The new feed mill consisted of 4 grinder mixers for mash and all of the necessary equipment for efficiently producing feed. With the increased production capacity, the business grew quickly, and soon sales expanded outside of Morogoro. Eventually, there was enough demand in Dar es Salaam that a warehouse and distribution center was established there to meet this new demand. But 80% of the country's poultry producers are located in or near Dar es Salaam, and that expansion made a lot of sense. Then in 2015, 7 years later, a second evolution happened with Tan Feeds, and they formed a joint venture with my company, More Ag Limited. I and several partners decided to invest in International Tan Feeds and interject capital, enabling an expansion in its livestock feed business and strong investments in additional retail stores. The investment enabled a more efficient sales process and added increased customer care with both the technical and the practical advice to our clients. A new corporate image was created and a marketing campaign was launched. The company grew its livestock feed business while investing also in the smallholder commodity input supply chain to increase the quality and reduce the spoilage of our raw products. In addition to the retail stores, investments were made to expand the feed milling capacity with the addition of a feed pelleting line. We had a state-of-the-art extrusion equipment and technologies were brought in from the United States, but we were the first to introduce floating pellets for the fish producers. So the company that began as a small mixing operation to help neighboring farmers was then transformed into a professionally managed corporation led by Professor Lakula. At its core, however, our guiding principles remained the same: Canned Feeds is guided by the vision, mission, values, and environmental social governance policies. Our guiding principles, which focus on sustainability, is the ultimate goal. For us, this means that we serve the people, the environment, and the company. And our success depends on our commitment to the long-term prosperity of these stakeholders. Although we like to think that we're kind-hearted folks, the philosophy is a strategic business decision that we believe is what will enable us to remain successful into the future. We were attracted to canned feeds as investors for several primary benefits. We were attracted to the idea that their focus was on female empowerment. 80% of our 65% of our clients were female poultry keepers. We liked the environmental benefits of switching to soy production for our protein instead of using fish. We liked the food security issue, which is why we chose that instead of something like gold mining or something else that had nothing to do with feed. And we liked the fact that it was profitable. For us, being profitable is an absolute requirement for long-term sustainability for our smallholder providers, for our poultry keepers, and for our feed mill company. So the number of our poultry farm keepers has increased and is projected to grow by a compounded annual growth rate of 22% from 2015 through to 2022. Our growth rate is not a chicken and egg question. While we consistently try to expand our share of the market to serve existing small and large producers, canned feeds extension services also include financial literacy, small business advice, feed advice, input support, and the basic support a nascent business person would need to start her business successfully and sustain it. This is not a chicken and egg question for us. 65% of our business customers are women, and we see that number rising. The market trends, however, are changing. Canned Feeds is committed to smallholder producers, and Professor Lakula has formed the Smallholder Farmers Association. This is partly because large international players are now entering the animal keeping market in Tanzania. Tyson Foods has set up a very large poultry operation there. So this will represent significant competition for our smallholder farmers. So we hope that Lakula's forming a Smallholder Farmers Association will help overcome and meet that competition. But we are committed to serving the small and the large producers and ride through whatever business cycles happen. We're also working with sourcing and aggregation in another evolution of our business. As with poultry farmers, we're committed to the sustainability of the farmer's success and are implementing systems to help farmers obtain the inputs and receive the extension support to increase their crop yields, lower their post-harvest loss, and mitigate the risk to the extent we possibly can. These services are shifting to our sister entity, Canned Grains, whose management will focus wholly on grain management and procurement. So in 2018, we replaced 100% of our fish meal usage with soybeans. We're also increasing our yields for our local soybean farmers, 40% of whom are women. When we came to explore this market in 2013, we met with a rather large humanitarian agency that had a very large soybean introduction program in Tanzania. To our surprise, they lamented that they did not plan for processing and outtake for the soybean growers. And as a result, these small farmers had produced soybeans and had no market. We ended up purchasing half of all the soybeans produced in Tanzania in our first year of business there. But that has changed now. So the bottom line is that our relationship with our customers, our suppliers, and our employees is to improve their livelihoods and our success. Our success depends on their success and all of us sustaining the environment. Canned Feeds sensitizes smallholder farmers and livestock producers on climate-smart agriculture, CSA. We introduce production techniques that will help with that to reduce carbon emissions and increase yields with lower inputs. Smallholder farmers, 40% of them are women, are about 80% of this MEDA group of 1,200 farmers. And MEDA is a humanitarian agency known as Mennonite Economic Development Associates. But these 1,200 women have gone out and purchased huge acres and started up their farm operation on new acreage and are very dramatically impacting the village where they grow where they live with their additional growth of this commodity. Best practice cash controls have been applied, including our in-store electronic point of sale systems, which provide real-time sales information to our online ERP management and accounting system. These systems are aligned with matching electronic bank transfers and cash deposits. So efficiencies in managing cash and inventory help us with the liquidity to meet and anticipate customers' demand as well as provide for our employees. The current evolution is in response to market forces and the encroachment of larger scale producers entering the market, as I alluded to earlier. We've remained true to our commitment to the smallholder farmers, and we continue to strengthen and source from local production. However, we also are meeting increased demand for our feed and are shaping services and products from both large and small producers, adding cattle and pig farms to our feeds to our traditional mixes. We're also shifting to soya production and purchase locally, nationally, and internationally to meet the increased demand that our company is experiencing. So, does corporate social responsibility matter? To solidify the feed value chain, Canned Feeds has expanded its base of smallholder crop farmers and livestock producers, and we have provided focused technical support and extension services. In doing so, the company has successfully provided efficient and affordable feed for small-scale producers for poultry and livestock, while building a sustainable market for the smallholder crop farmer. Through this, Canned Feeds has become a leading force in promoting soybeans and in replacing fish meal as a protein source in animal feeds in Tanzania, thus providing a positive environmental impact in the overfishing of Lake Victoria. And I will add that now almost all of our competing feed mill operations have also switched to the use of some soya in their feeds. While doing this by 2022, we forecast that Canned Feeds will have provided technical support to 10,000 smallholder farmers and livestock producers. We're affecting the larger producer market by linking locally produced grain to the supply chain of those large-scale producers, a chain that will continue to strengthen. We're committed to a gender strategy framework that empowers women on our team and sensitively serves our customers, both growers and livestock producers, through the products in appropriately sized packaging and extension services tailored to their needs. For us, the CFR is a strategy that enables us to evolve and pivot with the sea changes that are happening in the market, while enabling us to remain true to our commitment to sustainability, which has been the key to our success. The international community has taken note. MEDA, Mennonite Economic Development Associates, awarded us their Global Affairs Award, and we've also been honored by an award by the African Development Bank. So, at the end of the day, our success is written by the success of our customers, our growers, and our team of employees. We will all prosper together, or it simply doesn't work very long. We feel the same way about the environment that we all share. It also must prosper, or all of us will suffer. For Canned Feeds, corporate social responsibility isn't just a nice thing that we do in our community. It's a business strategy that enables our community of stakeholders to thrive and keep us in business for the long haul. That's what we're looking for. So we'll welcome your questions. If you would like to get
Thank you, Wilmer, for this very exciting talk. And I appreciate that you focused a lot on corporate responsibility, because sadly, sometimes in organizations, that's like at the bottom of it. So I appreciate that that was your focus of this entire presentation. I did have a question because you, of course, have a lot of women, and that was part of this organization was really focusing on gender empowerment, which certainly as a female, I do appreciate. Just out of curiosity, the women, are they teaching other women or their children on how to plant, on how to grow, on how to, so do you see that occurring as well? Like they have that empowerment to kind of continue with that educational strategy?
Yes, we do. The practices of the villagers are generally known within the village. And so I think that's why the one cooperative that now has 1,200 members grew to 1,200 because they were very successful in their agricultural commodity production and people wanted to join and be part of that. So we absolutely see that continuing, beyond the current generation that are in it.
Mm. And then one other question too, a couple of audience members had this question and it has been in my mind too. I see the growth strategy up until 2022. Has COVID at all impacted that projection by any means, or do you see that still it'll be high, if not higher, because of COVID?
Well, it certainly affected Tanzania, affected the entire economy, and it affected our business. The most specific way was, of course, they went through their lockdown period earlier this year, and so large gatherings were curtailed or eliminated altogether. But poultry is kind of the premium food that is offered, at least by the middle class, for family reunions, weddings, special events. And so that lockdown caused the poultry producers not to have a market for their poultry for a while. And what happened was as the poultry matured, they have about a 36 to 40-day cycle from the baby chicks to the marketable broiler. And they just didn't repurchase chicks when they got through those broilers. And so that, of course, reduced our demand for chick feed and then broiler feed. But that, eventually ended in July or August. Tanzania, fortunately, through some mystery that I think is still being explored, has not had a severe effect by the pandemic. The expectation of large numbers of hospitalized residents just didn't happen. And so we're hopeful that that will allow the country to get back on its feet. But overall, it was a huge economic blow, and the economy is still struggling to overcome that.
Well, thank you very much for that. I know that your contact information is up, and certainly during the panel discussion, we'll be able to answer, you can answer additional questions from the audience as well. So I thank you so much for your time, and we'll move on to the third presenter. Thank you so much.